Fine, thank you so much. So, I welcome you and everyone to our alumni talk. As we know, we have our speaker Ashish with us today. So, to begin with the talk, I was seeing through your LinkedIn profile, Ashish. What find very interesting was the very first thing that you have description about yourself. The one thing which catched my eyes is you're describing yourself as a data storyteller. So the second of all, which was very interested to me was your experience that you've started your career and you have 5 years of solid experience in the same company. So almost 5 years of your experience at Everlytics is what I believe. So I'm just very curious to know about how you started your journey, like what interested you to take this field, if possible, with a storyline to it. That's how I want your introduction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I was in my third year of engineering, I heard all the terms about big data,
Hmm.
data science. It's all the hype being there. But it didn't feel like it was my path. I was an electronics background guy, so I was mostly going to that kind of circuitry field. Then there seems to be some event I had to use a lot of Excels
Hmm.
and I end up working with a lot of spreadsheets. Then I
Okay.
understood, okay, tracking this stuff and managing my time or the resources which I had using that Excel had a lot of value. So then, I tried most of those things and suddenly it felt like okay, I can actually go into the what to say patterns inside the data, and
Hmm.
it felt interesting, so that's why I picked this field. Then yeah, possibly like coming from that electronics background, there was overwhelming knowledge base, right? If you look at in everywhere, it will be like all over the place. So
Yes.
then I needed a streamlined course curriculum, which I found it in DataMites course.
Hmm.
Then from that my basics got uh, fulfilled. Then
Hmm.
slowly I got into an interview, and there was a lot of opportunity to grow. I have a team of
Hmm.
my own now, so that
Okay.
even within the same company I could grow.
Okay, that was a solid question that I had. Why no job change in 5 years? So that's what the thing that we usually encounter, right? People say like this, if you want to get a growth in life, change your company for every 2, 3 years. That's how you grow, is what the thing that we usually see. So was one question which I had in mind. Like, what
Yeah,
made
so
you to stay for 5 years in a company?
the the point is like my CEO Kiran, who has like 20 years of experience in this field. So I am learning a lot from him, and the thing is the freedom I have in the company and the kind of projects we take
Mm-hmm.
is very interesting. So for my learning and of course all the uh, other things like financials, everything is taken care. So I didn't feel
Okay.
things to need to move.
Okay. So
Yeah.
basically, you're trying to say the freedom what you get is what you need to stay in the company.
Of course, like having a remote job, I
Hmm.
can work from anywhere, and
Yes.
the kind of flexibility I have,
Huh.
I don't think you know those are the things I would want.
Yes, yes, makes sense. So, can we just move back to 5 years before? Like, how was your pre-interview phase? Like, if you want to give it as a tip for us, like people who want to start their career in data engineer, like what skills they need to have, or like what was your preparation all through? Because you have done a data science course and jumped into data engineer. How did you, match this gap?
So, see, for a data scientist, I think no, wrangling data or
Hmm.
playing with data is very important. And of course, there is the statistics, mathematical part of it that comes later. But you have to be comfortable with data. So, especially Python is a skill you cannot overlook. Python plus, mostly in the industry, if you look at it, a lot of enterprise data warehouses in SQL. So those are the two key skills. If you are a
Hmm.
data engineer, you have to be conversant with both.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did your preparation go? How did you bang your first job? Like if you travel back 5 years back.
So see, after the introduction, it was like relentless working with it. So I
Hmm.
would look at, so that was the time of COVID, right? So I would
Correct.
take the COVID API data and try to visualize on my own. And so that kind of playing with real life data actually enabled me to prepare for my interview pretty easily
Mhm.
because, it's like, uh, mostly there will be some patterns that will be common across all the business data sets. So key is, for me, the key was I was working with real life data. So there was real life cleaning or real life transformations required. That enabled me on that.
So if you want to speak about a data engineer as a domain and want to speak about the skills or whatever is really wanted for me to start a career there, so what would your overview on it? Like what skills, what tools I need to focus on? I mean, if you just give me an information as a complete beginner, that would be more
Yes.
sensible for us.
Okay, so as I said, Python and SQL will definitely help you. I mean, that is a base, surely. Then there are a lot of ETL tools available. If you look
Okay.
at like a corporate company, like, for managing their data engineering pipelines, they will have ETL tools like
Mhm.
Informatica, Airflow. Uh, so that kind of an ETL, like how a source gets transformed to a destination, that is important. So like if you want to pick up something, you can go for Informatica, Airflow, or yeah. So that ETL layer, how it works, there are some data warehousing concepts also like called,
Okay.
how, what to say, you capture change in your data. So
Mhm.
from source side, it will, let's say that you had n number of sales today and you have
Okay.
to add it to the earlier previous historical data. So those
Mhm.
concepts you will get it while working with an ETL tool.
Mm-hmm. Okay. If you want to speak about the projects, I mean, as a fresher, I want just to go on with a job. It's important for me to project the projects. Like I know I have the skills, I have developed on it, I have done this, like study is still there, but how do I project it? What kind of projects need to be put into? Like if you are asked with any questions regarding the project, like how do we even answer it? Like that's the most asked question for us. Like if we see any experienced people, we tend to get all the answers from there. So yeah, what's your view on it?
So if you ask me, like most of the people would have excellent projects made on CSV flat sources,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that is something common. If you have experience in connecting to SQL database, or let's say streaming data like a Kafka, so those are the skills, like it will help you distinguish yourself when you actually uh, connect your, I mean, write your code to connect with real life databases, real
Mm-hmm.
life source systems. That will be a key.
Okay, makes sense. So, was how many interviews did you even give before you getting job at Everlytics? Was it the first job that you encountered?
Yeah, that was my first interview, so I could not give you more interview experiences.
Yes, yes. So, what kind of questions that might be asked? Like that is one question that we get, like theoretical or practical. Will they ask us to solve any real time use cases there? How it will go? Is one question that gets asked with us most of the times.
Definitely, there will be a technical test where you will
Correct.
have to, showcase your skills uh,
Hmm.
in a real world coding example. Then
Hmm.
definitely there will be checks for your foundations. So as a fresher, what we expect like from industry is like, is your basics good, then you
Mm-hmm.
can be trained for, a specific set of skills. So do you understand how, data objects are created? What is a data frame? And how is it like, actually, how it is storing data? So how
Mm-hmm.
much you have that foundation, that will be uh, noted.
Okay, there is this misconception, right? There is this one thing that is going on in the market. As you're in a senior level and managing a team, how would you see a fresher in terms of hiring, Ashish? So, what is that we tend to see is freshers are not at all getting hired, no calls we are getting. Like, that is what is going on in the market. Like, what's your perspective being in a managerial role?
So can you repeat that question?
Actually, there is this conception, right? Freshers are not hired. There is this thing now, at least market is so down or cold for freshers. There are no opportunities coming in the market. There are no jobs that where freshers are getting entertained. So what is your perspective on it? How would you see a person with no experience as a fresher getting into the team? Like what is the probability of you taking them into the team?
See, if you ask me, in my company's culture, we regularly hire people as
Hmm.
interns, and groom them to become leaders. And it's a cultural thing. If you look at corporate, I think uh, there might be some difference, but I don't have that kind of an experience to actually tell you uh, why they are not hiring. But if you ask me personally, like
Mhm.
fresh ideas, like
Mhm.
new people will bring fresh ideas. That's very important because sometimes, like if you only know how to use a hammer, everything will be looking like nails, right? So old team, they
Mhm.
might look at it in an old light, and new people with new ideas may be valuable. So yeah.
It makes sense. So, what kind of tools and applications that you work on daily basis?
Yeah, so basically, as I said, there will be some ETL tools like Informatica for sure,
Okay.
Kafka, and Airflow now, and databases like there is a lot of databases like
Okay.
Postgres. So
Mhm.
any of the SQL based databases will do, and definitely Python, because if you want to wrap everything in Python, you need, I mean, in a script you need Python,
Mhm.
and yeah, a little bit of Linux because you need to know that.
Okay, that's it from my side as a set of questions that I wanted to ask you. The only thing that was going on in my mind is why stuck in the same company for 5 years? That was the only solid question I had. But there
Mhm.
are a few questions from the audiences. A
Yeah.
couple of questions are there.
Yeah.
So there is one question which goes something like this. How did you approach your job search after graduation, and what strategies worked best for you?
Okay, so for me, I was focusing on LinkedIn mostly,
Mhm.
and I was looking at what are the uh, jobs available for me as a fresher. And I know that, I didn't have that kind of a computer science background, so I need to start from as an intern. So I was
Mhm.
looking for internships mostly, not like a full-time job. So that
Okay.
really helped me.
So what other portals do you suggest? It's on LinkedIn.
Yeah, if you ask me,
There are.
LinkedIn is good,
Mhm.
and I know a couple of people who get hired on Indeed,
Okay,
and
indeed.
yeah,
Yeah, pretty much indeed. I mean, higher than what else? Internshala is one of the good platform. Now
yes.
B2. There are a lot of things that we can go and search. So there's one question, will AI replace us?
Um, Definitely a chunk of, see, the thing is not, oh, so if I answer it, not in 15 years, especially in Indian
Mhm.
market, I don't think we are mature enough to have some AI code come and write ETL logic, translate the business logic. But uh, see, when AI comes, so definitely data engineer or whoever works in data will be there to maintain the AI. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of you being, so the way I look at it is like, if AI comes and can do work of 100 people, the one who remains will have the responsibility of 100 people.
Okay.
So it will boost your productivity,
Mm-hmm.
not just like, blindly replace you.
Okay, makes sense. So there's one last question.
Mhm.
So what do you recommend for a fresher with required skills regarding data science to get a job first as soon as possible, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, as I said, make sure your Python skills are very good and SQL skills definitely. So those two things, if you are very good in it, the basics are very good, then you will not find very difficulty in finding a job.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, there are a lot of questions for you coming on a shoot. What
Mhm.
challenges do you think as new data engineers often face?
So challenges, it will be project specific or task specific. You will be challenged every time. As a fresher, the first thing is availability to the real life data. So it's in real life problems. So you have to check for forums, or like, if you are working with some tool, there will be a community for it. So if you are engaged in that community, you
Hmm.
can identify, what are the pressing challenges they are facing, and maybe you can solve it.
Yes, at this, I think we are over with the questions. So, any suggestions or tips for people from your side?
Can you repeat that?
Any tips or any guidance or anything from your side for us?
Yeah, so you need to have the understanding, and make sure that is worked on. You try it daily. Whether you have a job or not, you have to code. So that will help you with the mechanical skills. Like, in the sense, like, even typing a code faster will give you an
Mhm.
advantage. So don't skip a day. Like, do a coding challenge daily, and yeah, and work with real life data sets. Nothing like that. So then you will actually understand and refine yourselves.
Yes, thank you, Ashish. Thank you for your valuable time and yeah, have a nice day. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much.